was going to ask, and this is me 30 years later, not knowing a ton of what's going on these days, but they still do the shellback ceremonies, right?
They do. You'll be on. You might not like to hear this, but I opted out of doing it on my deployment when we crossed the equator.
Probably not a bad decision.
Well, I'll tell
Uh,
you, it wasn't because I was so I was so fucking pissed at the Navy people on my first MEU. I was like, dude, fuck all these people. Like, they treat. I mean, you're seeing it in the news now where people are committing suicide and you're getting these stories of people just being miserable. Being on ship as a junior Marine or not even a junior, I was a staff sergeant. E6 and below, you get treated like shit. And like, why are you walking in this hallway? You don't rate to walk in this hallway. Like, fuck you, man. You know, you're getting barely any food, you're being starved out. You have, while the officers and chiefs and shit are getting like as much food as they want, super nice steaks, like crazy stuff. All the enlisted people, all the lower enlisted people, E6 and below, are eating like shit. And then on top of that, the Navy, I have the least favorable impression of the Navy than I do of any other branch, and that's after working with them and seeing how many of them, and this isn't everybody, obviously this isn't everybody, but there's the attitude of this isn't my job was rampant. You ask someone a question, that's not my job. That's not my job. And I would see them fuck over Marines or try to fuck over Marines all the time. And I'm like, dude, fuck these guys. So when, I know I'm going off right now, when it came around, they're like, hey, we're doing this shellback, ceremony or whatever, the crossing of the equator. You can opt out. I guess, I don't know, who knows, at some point someone made a thing where it's hazing, so you can opt out if you want. And I'm like, dude, fuck them. I'm like, I'm not gonna bow down to some fucking sailor and do all these bullshit little hazing tasks for him to earn their little thing. Like, I've been to Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan, and fucking that was it for me. Like, I don't need this. And this is before that deployment. If someone would have been like, dude, you gonna do the crossing the equator ceremony, the shellback ceremony, I would have been all about it. I'm all about that stuff, like the traditional military experience. I want the all that cool stuff. Like, going to the ball is a cool thing, doing a dining in ceremony is a cool thing, because it's that like unique experience that kind of makes the military part of what it is. But after seeing how shitty those sailors were and how I just was so disgruntled to the point, and I haven't talked about this in a long time, but I have talked about it on the podcast before, to the point where they go, hey man, when I got off that deployment, they're like, hey, you're going back to the MEU as permanent personnel. You're going on another MEU. And I told them, I go, if you send me over there, I'm getting out. If you send me to the MEU again, I'm getting out. And they sent me to the MEU and I got out. And I was like, fuck this. I have been in and done too much shit to get treated this way by these fucking losers that haven't done anything. And that includes the Marines E6 or E7 and above that thought that they somehow rated this special treatment and kind of fell into that Navy mentality by the end of the deployment. You know what I'm saying? So no, I've crossed the equator twice on ship, and both times I said, fuck them, I'm not doing it.
No, I totally get that, man. I totally get that. We hadn't pretty much done anything but just training, so I totally get where you were at.
It's
And
not even, it wasn't even like, oh, I've been to Iraq, I'm too good for this, or I've been to Afghanistan, I'm too good for this. It was the lack of basic human respect for other people. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
For like, I had to argue with, I remember I had to argue with with the first class, which is their E6, about
yeah,
they were closing the chow line early while there was a huge line of Marines waiting to eat still. And they're like, nope, we're closing. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, what are you talking about? It's not the end of chow, is the bell hasn't even rang yet. And none of these guys have eaten. And you're going to tell them that they can't eat when we already get not enough food anyways. And I ended up having to go and argue with this dude's chief about why these fucking Marines should eat. Like, that's my experience on ship. You know what I'm saying? And living in the worst conditions, 100 over, it was like 110 or 115 Marines, 3 showers, maybe 2 showers, 2 toilets, and a urinal, and like 3 or 4 sinks. Are you fucking kidding me, man? Like, it's everything about it was bullshit. And I was like, fuck these dudes. I disrespect. I don't like any of them. You know, not I won't say that. There were some cool Navy guys, but for the most part, I was like, fuck them. I don't even want to like be around them.
Yeah, man, ship life's something else.
Sorry for all the sailors out there that may be listening to this, but that's just how I felt at the end of that deployment. I was like, I can't wait to get away from this fucking ship and all these sailors, which they probably hated us too, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember me having a choice.
Probably not in the 90s.
No. Yeah, totally different times. You know, and Tracy was a shellback, so he was one of the hazers. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you like being on your knees on non-skid for 8 or 9 hours all day, you know, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Eating out of a bowl on the floor like a dog. So yeah, I don't think you missed too much, but I was just curious that they still did that.
Oh, they do it. It was people were surprised, and I was very vocal about it. I'm like, me, and actually it was crazy. The MEU ops chief, you know, the lieutenant colonel ops chief was also the same way. Like, fuck this. Anybody that doesn't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You know, he's like, this is stupid. And I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. And actually, I think at least half my team ended up not doing it. It was, again, if we would have respected the Navy people, then it wouldn't have been an issue. But when you get disrespected for 7 months, you get treated like shit for 7 months. It's like, fuck this. You know, I mean, and I doubt today's Navy is the same as the Navy people that you saw. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look back on like the old Navy, like when I thought before the military, when I thought of the Navy, my mind went to like the old war movies like Midway and stuff like that, where these dudes are like fighting the ships. You know what I'm saying? Like they're out there like doing shit, and like, I don't know, it just seemed like it was a kind of a cool job. But after seeing how the people were, it was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And I just couldn't do it, man. So.